Hi, I'm Eddie Blanco. I'm the broker of Stratwell, and in today's video, I'm going to be covering work without permits. If you're buying a home or you own a home and you're thinking about selling that home, I encourage you to watch this video, learn everything you need to know about the work without permits issues that may impede the ability to sell a home or risk as a buyer that you may be taking in buying a home that has work without permits. It's going to be an overview video about all this. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. If you like this video, please take a moment to like the video and share the video with somebody you know, and also subscribe to this channel for more information on real estate topics here in the South Florida market. And we also cover some of the national real estate news as well. All right, well, let's get started talking about work without permits. Let's distinguish two different types of work without permits. One, work without permits is where the city is aware of the violation. They noticed that you enclosed, there's a garage enclosure, it was done without permits, and they have cited the property work without permits. Now, when this happens, this creates an impediment in the ability to sell the property because it's a lienable issue. The city has legal authority to lien against the property and impose fines against the property owner for the work that was done without permits and failure to cure the issue. If there is financing involved where the new buyer wants to purchase this property that has a violation, where the city is aware of this violation, then this becomes a title problem and financing is not an option. A lender will not lend on a home that has a work without permits violation in most cases. And when I speak of a lender, I'm speaking of the standard Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, government subsidized entities, a typical bank loan. There are some private hard money side, different type of financing structures that may allow it. But for the most part, for the most average buyer and seller, it's not an option. So cash is the only option in that case. Now, that is the minority of the cases, right, where there's actually a violation that the city is aware of. In most cases, there is violations that the city is not aware of. The homeowner replaced the kitchen and updated the bathroom without any permits, and no one's aware of that. Or they enclosed the garage without any permits, or they enclosed the back Florida room without any permits. They've added fencing without any permits, or replaced roof, replaced windows without permits. All of these things I've seen done without permits. I've seen complete house additions with multiple rooms added without permits. The size and scope of the work is not a determinant factor of whether or not it was done without permits. The only way to know whether work was done without permit is to verify with the city records. The building department is the one that's going to be able to tell you that. A lot of people have the misconception that if the property appraiser's office, the public records card for the property, shows the bedroom, bath, and square footage count that's consistent with the house, then all of that work was done with permits, and that is a misnomer. Not true. The property appraiser's office and the building department don't necessarily always communicate with each other, and so there is times where extra square footage is noted by the appraiser. They're collecting taxes on that extra square footage, but that extra square footage was not approved by the building department, and therefore it didn't have work with permits. So that's a problem for the buyer. So the way to know whether or not a property has permits is to check with the city building department. That's the only way to know. And understand that there's you have to know what the municipality that manages the building department history for that property. In some cases, there are municipalities that at one point were part of the county and then became the city. And sometimes in that process, the county documents didn't get transferred properly over to the city documents. So in some cases, you have to check both the city and the county building department records to find out the history of the work. Don't go based on what the owner of the property or the owner's agent of the property or your home inspector tells you. I would verify that information myself as a buyer with the city. And if you need help with that information, your real estate agent should be able to point you in the right direction on how to verify whether or not it was done with permits. Because once you've purchased a property, gone through your inspection period and closed, there's very little in terms of remedy that you as a home buyer can do to after the fact, right? So you've already purchased a property, you did your inspection period, you closed on a property, now you find out there's work that was done without permits. It's very hard to go back to that seller and say, oh, you didn't tell me, I didn't know. It's very difficult to do that, because it's very hard to prove that that owner knew. When was that work actually done? Was it really done by that owner? If they did, maybe they bought it that way from the other owner and they were told that it was done with permits. So their only information was false information, which they then transferred over to you as the buyer. Who is to know? And that gets very hairy, very difficult to prove. And I have seen many people not be successful in trying to go back to the seller in those cases. We sell a lot of bank foreclosed properties. We don't have the history on those properties, so we always buyer beware and advise buyers to do their own due diligence. And if we know for sure something was done without permits, we will let them know. But in most cases, it's hard to know unless you do your own homework. So it's encouraging to do that. And if you're a seller and you have work without permits and you know this, it's very important that you disclose this to the potential buyers. A lot of buyers are okay with buying a house that has some modifications done without permits, but they just want to know about it. They don't want to be surprised. So if you fail to disclose that, there are some potential legal ramifications of a seller if they're able to determine that you knew this information and failed to disclose that. That is a fact that can materially affect the value of the home. And by Florida law, it's required to be disclosed. So those are some tips for you. If you have any questions about the home inspection process, the work without permits, violations, issues that could come up, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions. You can just simply comment below, or you can also reach us to our website. That's stratwellrealestate.com, and you can check on the contact us information. There you have all our contact information. You can reach out to us anytime, ask any questions. If we don't have the answer for you, we will definitely direct you to the right person to answer the question for you. In most cases, we do have the right answer for you. If not, like I said, we're happy to refer you to the right source for the information you're looking for. I appreciate you taking the time. If you like this video, please drop a little like, give us that thumbs up, or share the video with one of your friends and family. We appreciate it. Have a good day.